Dave here. How are you? Today is the 10th of June. June 10, if you want. I can say it that way as well, whatever you want. Winter here, of course, and cold. I see people making comment down the side, but not so bad here because we had a little bit of rain overnight. Clouds are covering and keeping things well. Morning, Dave, from Fix It Fingers. Steve Rogerson, 4 degrees C in your workshop. Wayne Stephen, you may have to get a chip heater. Daniel, hello from Portugal. Hi, Daniel. All right, today, as I say, this is a midweek show. This is more of a chat, like a chat session, because I'm guessing a lot of people are still in lockdown. But also I'm going to do some interesting things. And the things that I have to do, and it's a bit of a follow-on from the theme that we're doing with the main show, which is on Sunday. And that is building a roll-around cabinet with drawers and all that kind of stuff. So it's probably going to go over around 4 weeks. But I'm building another cabinet in the background while that one's happening. One of the reasons being, John Wilson made a comment that rebating the, or rabbiting, whatever you want to call it, 2 millimeters into the sides of the unit. As I say, I keep calling them gables. It's when I was an apprentice, my tradesmen called everything that the cabinets they were building, they were the gables, and which are on the ends. But I do understand it usually refers to roof construction, but it's really easy if you say gable of a cabinet. I know exactly what I'm talking about. If I say side, it could be the side of a drawer, it could be the side of the cabinet, it could be the side of anything. So that's just how I was taught and how I carried on through life. Stephanie, I am so sorry last show that I called you Stephen. I had the guys in the Zoom meeting later on from my Patreons. My patrons were saying, Dave, she even changed her name during the show from Steph to Stephanie. So my apologies. I was focused on what I was doing. I saw Steph. I presumed it was Stephen. I'm sorry. What can I say? All right. Okay, Dave Lucy, good morning. I'm hoping you're out of hospital, Dave, and enjoying home time. If not, if you're in hospital, I hope the food is good. What can I say? Harry, hello, everyone from North Bergen. NJ, I guess, is New Jersey. All right, now I did say I was building another unit, so I'm going to show you what it is. Now this is for, it's okay, I get it all the time from you foreigners. I deserve that, Stephanie, sorry. Joe, hi Dave from Southern Illinois, I guess. Steve Wallbank, my wife is Stephanie, leads to some confusion. Stephen and Stephanie, that would. So it's SS Wallbank. It's a good name for a ship. All right, what have I got here? This is just a quick drawing of the unit that I'm making. Now, as I say, I don't use SketchUp or things like that because I haven't had the time to learn it yet. You'll see that John Wilson has already drawn up the unit that we're making, which is just the simple roll-around cabinet for my drum sander over there. I have moved a couple of things. You might notice behind me I've got the bobbin sander, the jet bobbin sander, on top of the smaller unit, and that is at a really nice height now. So I can work basically at elbow height. If you can try and get the things that you're working on, like bobbin sanders at elbow height, the center of your lathe, the chuck of your lathe, if it can be at elbow height as well, these are things that you have control where you're not kind of up here working, it's down here, and you have more control over the chisel for kickback and all that kind of stuff, or a catch. So hence that's why this unit is basically exactly the same height. Now you'll notice on one end, I've got an overhang of about 100 millimeters. Now the reason I'm doing that is that the Sorby Pro Edge has got a hole directly under the base plate, directly under the linishing belt. And that's for metal to drop through and down into a collection pot. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that. And also I'm going to have it so that the buff wheel hangs outside of the cabinet past the top. So I can still, like if this is the edge of the top, I could have the buff running here, or back here so you can see it, and I can get to things around it rather than kind of being cramped over the top of it. that's my thinking. Also, I'm going to do a centre division on this one, which is going to stiffen the cabinet. And also I'm thinking about putting a plywood gusset underneath to act as a rib under the cabinet. And I've done that in my roll around multi-function table thing that I built a few years back. I might throw a link for it up in the corner, up there maybe, after the show, so you can see it. And in that one, I rebaited 2mm on all of the joints in that because it was a different form of construction. It's a little bit hard, but I got there. So that's what I'm doing here. So I thought what I'd do is I would do all the prep work for the Sunday show by doing the edge stripping on this cabinet for the lathe. So my lathe's only a very short lathe. It's only about this long. And so the lathe will be at this point, let's say this is the cabinet top, because it's going to be 600 by 1200, which is the size of the Stanton bench that I've got here. So it'll be about that long. And then the Sorby Pro Edge will be on the end. So I can have it set up so I can sharpen chisels straight away and then back to the lathe. That might be nice and convenient. Also, it's going to be on wheels because I will probably roll it outside to use it because lathes are messy buggers. That's all there is to it. Still enjoying hospital food, hopefully not for too long. T-double-O, David, not T-O. Just what you wanted to cheer you up, someone giving you a grammar lesson. Wayne, Steph, I was in your part of the world about 25 years ago. Nice place. Giles, hello everyone from Shannon, Quebec, Canada. All right. You know that yesterday was the first day in Australia that we had no cases of locally transferred bug. That is amazing. 0. We are looking to come out the other side. And man, oh man, there's been some political strife lately, hasn't there, with these protests and also with the pandemic and social distancing. And I'm not going to make any comment on it because there are so many positives for both sides. I have an opinion. I'm not going to state it because it's such a divided thing. I would hate to be a politician. Would you like to be a politician at the moment, getting stuck with this between a rock and a hard place? No matter what you do, it's going to be wrong or right. It might be right, but it might be seen as being wrong. Oh, I don't envy them. All right, let's get stuck into it. I'm going to do some edge lip here, or edge strip, just going to use iron on. I'll turn the iron on to start with so that it warms up. I don't know if you've seen any of the videos that I've done regarding doing edge strip. It's very, very easy, especially if you have something like this. I'm going to switch the cameras around. I'm going to have a quick look first on the side to see if I've got the right glasses. Yes, I do. Here we go. Ah, there you all are. Morning, made it to a show in lifetime. Good morning, John. I hope you're feeling okay today. I can't say feeling well because I know that's just not on the cards for you. You're thinking about putting a kitchen exhaust hood over the lathe when you get round to it for the fine dust. It may or may not work, Stephen. You've got to get as close as possible. I've watched some videos on different people using lathes, and one guy had 3 different extraction ports. He had one above the lathe and one below the lathe, because with a gouge will throw stuff down more. A scraper will throw it up over the top. So different tools will throw the rubbish in different areas. That's why I say, take it outside. I'm just going to take the rotten thing outside. W. John in Oz, good morning. Good morning. All right. I'm going to switch the cameras. Let me have a look, see if I've got a good camera here that'll work okay. Second camera. Oh, that one will do it. I'll do that one. All right, so now you can see me in the top corner there, up there, and you can see me here. Hello. All right. Now, my bench obviously has a nice big deep apron on it, as deep as I would like it to be. And I'm going to throw a couple of dogs in. I did make comment the other day that I like these dogs. The reason being they're slightly less diameter than the standard dogs. So they go in, if your benches had, even if it's an MFT3 or whatever, or one of my benches, and because we're going through, in Australia, a wet period, it might swell. These still go in beautifully. So let's pop that in there and that one in there. Now, ordinarily, they would be a little bit loose, but magic. John can make dogs. He makes them as a standard size, but I don't know if he would consider making them slightly less in diameter for, you could call them a winter dog and a summer dog. Possibly, I don't know. All right, now on my sheet, let me have a quick look here on my cutting list. I'll see if I've got it there. Over here it might be. I also have, and I'll throw it up to this camera here. Can you see that okay? The last thing I've got here is the edge. And you notice I've got 1L, 1S, 1L. Now 1L stands for one long edge, 1S is for one short edge. Now the center of this cabinet, which is the center piece, is going to be rebated 2 millimeters into the top and 2 millimeters into the bottom, like the dados. And it's a slightly interesting sheet. So instead of being 565, which the sides or the gables are, 565 less 32 plus 4, 32 is twice 16, or 5/8, which is the thickness of the material I'm using, brings me back to 537. So 537 is the side on the front, or the edge on the front, and 565 on these ones is the edge at the front. So this is going to be 537 is shorter than 555, which is the depth of the cabinet, and 565 on the ends is longer than the depth of the cabinet. So a little bit of a tricky area. That's why you see the scribble. So anyway, that's how it's going to work. 1L, 1S, 1L, 1L. And that stands for where I'm going to edge. This is just a little layout of the sheet like I showed everyone the other day. Shows you this is the offcut that I'll use for draw material. An interesting thing, you might see in the small picture, you'll see down the back of the workshop, I've got one piece that's around about 3.5 to 4 inches wide. Now don't smash those up. I'm going to use those for the sides of my drawers. And I'm also making a video at the moment. It's basically, I pulled down one of the videos that I had, which was all about building this unit down here. I don't know if you can see that. And I thought there was another video inside that just on how I make a drawer. So I'm going to release that as a video on its own. And that'll be in around about 2 weeks' time. On Friday, this in 2 days for us, maybe, well, it'll probably be Thursday for a lot of people. I'm going to release it at 3 o'clock in the morning, Australian Eastern Standard Time on Friday. And it's the fountain. Now this, I built the fountain 3 years ago, and it's just such a beautiful project. There's hardly any talk in the video. It's around just over half an hour long. I take you through the whole thing, marking it out, digging it out, putting offset pegs around so I can remember where the center of the circle is after I've done the excavation, installing the pond, creating road base and screed and how to do all that, taking levels, laying pavers, how I compact everything, which is easy and cheap. Anyone can do it, through to laying Besser block retaining wall, a concrete block retaining wall, how to put an ag line, an ag drain in correctly, and using an absorption pit, grouting, cleaning, the whole thing, laying the turf, and then sitting back and enjoying it. Right at the end are some beautiful images that I've caught in summer and autumn after the thing was finished a couple of years. And I really like it. And also the safety grill I put in the pond, it's all in there. It is such a nice video. It's taken me years and years and years to just to get around to doing it, not years and years and years to make it, but I filmed the whole thing while I was doing it. It really is worth watching. So if you get a chance, if you see it pops up, grab yourself a cup of coffee or a beer, sit down, prepare to be there for half an hour. All right, now where am I at? I've got the dogs in. I'm going to pop that up there on the dogs, and I'm going to do a quick read while we're here. Stephanie, super excited. I went and purchased the eye muffs. They're great. They're great. Michael Christopher's, morning everyone. Stephen, well done, Stephanie. Good investment. Good morning from David. Ujay, g'day from a little bit down the mountain. G'day, Ujay. Trevor, good morning, Dave, from San Diego, California. All right, now I need to do the short distance on this one. So I'm going to read it, and I've written it down here as well. So 555 by 537, so 537. How easy is metric? I'm going to measure across so that I've got 537, and that is 537. And 555 that way. Doesn't the track saw do a magic job on cutting out melamine? You know, both sides, absolutely beautiful. All right, on there, and I'll just rest it on there for the moment. I'm going to use the bench clamps in the track at the front, one there, and I'll just pop these in and leave them there whilst this is happening. I'm going to lift it up onto the lip there. 1, 2, how good is that? Next thing is get a bit of the iron-on tape. I'll pull off enough that I need. As I say, I've done a video on this. I will do a link to it after. My iron is on hot. Yes, it's very warm. I'm going to pop it there. This is an old iron, not Vicky's good iron or my good iron. I do most of the ironing. I like to iron my work shirts. It's very satisfying. Glass of wine, get the iron out. So I do a couple of passes, then at an angle, and then at an angle like so, and then a little bit at the end, a little bit there, and then move it out of the way and use a block. I should have really got the block out in time to push down hard. Now, a lot of people will use a cork block. This is just a straight chunk of wood. There we go. Done. That's looking pretty good. Now, the end trimmer, which is over here. This is the little guy I use. And I put it across the end and cut. And the other end. And then the other one over here. This does both sides at once. It has adjustable blades in there that come in from the side and also on the top, I think. So let's just run with them on the side at the moment. Watching? You ready? That's it. I love that kind of stuff. All right, now I have another little guy here, which is this plane. See that? And it's a chamfer plane, and it just takes a mil or so off in one pass. So I'll run it from one end, and it creates a little 45-degree chamfer straight away, and I'll run it back the other direction. See how the bench just makes life so easy. Done. And then this direction. And then back. And that's it. Release. You tell me what you think. Is that a nice edge? So that one's ready. This is my center panel of the lathe unit. Now, to let you know that it wasn't a fluke and it's pretty easy to do, I'm going to do another one. I think this is the right direction. Just drop it in And this is 1L, one long. This is a side or a gable. And the long is 565, which is that length. Tape. And on. Center it with your fingers. Whoop, that's no good. The iron's cord picked it up. Bit at the end, bit at the end. You can use brown paper as well if you want, over the top. I find if my iron is nice and clean, it doesn't worry it. Either end. Now, if you want to, you can use a Wood River. Correct, Stephen. If you want to, you can use a... I've lost the plot, lost where I was at. Oh yeah, a little bit of sandpaper at the end if you want to. But I find this little Wood River plane, as Stephen just pointed out, works very well. It doesn't take long. One long side. I think that's the long side, just by sight. But again, always a good idea. Measure twice. Tape once. 565. How good are those parallel guides? They just did a magic job. This was all cut out with the track saw and the parallel guides and the GRS 16. And the long part, I'll just show you here. This is the GRS 16 setup. This is the best square I've ever owned, that way. And then I've also got the 1200mm parallel guide on it, and it's got a stop at this end. And so setting up the length, piece of cake, absolute piece of cake. Repetitive, this is for the top and the bottom and for the sides. I just set the length, zap, zap, dead square. Oh, something as well. I'll talk to the main camera at the moment. You know how on the show on Sunday, I was doing reverse cuts as a scribe cut. Now that's going to give you the absolute cleanest. Going forwards, it's still going to be super clean, but if you're having difficulties with the blade going in forwards at 2mm deep as your scribe cut, well then try the reverse method that I showed you on Sunday. It might help you out. You know, it'll do, going forwards will work. Okay, so I think the side trimmer is just the sides cut on slight angle. I always sand edge after to eliminate any catches. Right, Dave, do you need to come to Texas for some Texas barbecue? John, that's a lovely invitation. Caribou, good day from Northern Rivers. Good morning, good morning. How is it up in the Northern Rivers today? Another quick read. Forgot to run the block over it. Oh, I did. It's all right, it's okay. The iron is holding it down well. You'll be surprised how well it works. I'll run the block over it in a second. So we get that out of there. Yeah, look, I'm not infallible. That's a big word. That's a big word for a Wednesday morning. Still half asleep. There we go. Angles and all that kind of stuff. Block. Here we go. Done. Happy? Parallel Gold sold out. I tried last week. Try again. Go straight to TSO through my link in the description box below. I don't think Carbotech have any. Well, they may, but just check. I did a test last night on getting dogs delivered to Australia from TSO and dogs delivered from Carbotech, and much the same price. Very, very little difference in the total figure. I think TSO was actually slightly cheaper. But if you wanted to get some and they're in store, by all means just walk into a store and you can get some of their stuff. As I say, I think Aussie dollar is up, yeah. So try it again, David. Have a look, because I think you'll be surprised, because I think someone ordered them. There was 2 lots of ordered, because I don't know who buys them, but I saw that a couple of people had bought them after the show. So try them. I love them. I think they're. When I first got them, I was a little bit dubious. I think, but it's the same kind of thing. When you get used to something, you're lost without them. Like, I haven't turned my table saw on except for narrow stuff, and which is it's brilliant for, but for the ordinary stuff, especially with the sheet quads, it's just they're pricey, but it's one of those things, buy once, cry once. Here we go. You ready? Oh, I love it. It's so much fun. So I have the link in the description box below if you're interested. TSO sold out. Well, that is surprising. Just wait until they've got them in stock again. I wonder if it's because I've been telling everyone about them. I don't know. You can't use it in a hospital bed, David. No, of course you can't. So just wait. Just wait. I think that's what Stephen was trying to tell you. Now, I've got a couple of long pieces here. So how do we go about that? I'm going to drag that back to about there. I'm going to take that one off. And I'm going to open the dog hole positions up to there. And I think this is 1052 and 1L is what it's after. I'll come back one more dog hole. Can you think of any easier way to do this? I love it. I keep telling people, it's great. Gotcha. Now, 1L, and I'm going to stand here and go, oh, gee, I don't know which one's the long one. Of course, it's this one. That's why it's so easy. And remember when I was building the other cabinet I had, and this one as well, the sides of the gables, 555 and 565, it's an area to trip up on. You've got to be so careful. This is good. I'm getting this ready because I'm going to be doing the rebates. Dave, you've learned many things this year on your channel. Someday I'll have as many blue shirts as you. Thank you very much, Pablo. That's very generous of you. I thought it was dollars to start with. I nearly fell over. All right, here we go again. Now the thing is to make sure that it's going to run parallel all the way. So with my fingers, I'm holding it so it doesn't. And also you've got to make sure the iron is dead flat. Yeah, with my fingers I was guiding it so I had the equal amount of overhang both sides. There we go. And block, of course. Still got a dozen K-body clamps to unpack from delivery. Man, your going home is going to be so much fun. You're going to love it. Even if you're in a wheelchair, you're going to just say, man, oh man, this is great. What's the time? 1:30. We're doing well. I've only got one more of these to do. I've also cut the back ready, but I don't think I'll tape that while we're on the show because it just might get a little bit boring. Here we go. Checking I'm the right direction. We are, and my little Wood River miter plane. Chamfer plane, I should say. A while back I did a show on Arthur's chamfer plane, my great-grandfather's plane, and it's a little bit more savage than this one. This one's purpose-built for this. How nice was that? That's beautiful. There's no need for sanding on that. Undo this one. That was pretty easy. You see how nice that is? That's done with the track saw, with my little method of going the reverse cut. Both sides. There we go. This one up here. Beautiful. And the last one is this one. The reason I put the masking tape on to label everything, it's easy to get rid of it when you do your assembly at the end. All right, Mark Palmer. Hey, David, just bought one of those edge banding trimmers from Carbotech. How good are they? Can't believe it took me so long to buy one. They're brilliant. I love them. All right, last strip. And I've got another roll of this stuff. I get this from the big green store. I don't care about saying their name. Bunnings. Everyone knows it's there. It's not. It's the elephant in the room, is it? All right, so now remember what I'm doing here. I'm putting my finger over it and feeling on both sides, so that I have an equal kind of space. I'm pulling it out straight at this stage so that when I put the iron on, I know it's not going to start running off the edge. The tape is going to go straight. And I guide it a little bit as I do that. So I've got my fingers in front of it. I don't stop because you'll heat the tape up in one spot and burn it. So you've got to keep the iron moving. And this thing is an old iron that's broken and we just leave it on flat out. A little bit that, and a little bit that, a little bit on an angle like so, and down the other side. And then the block, which I forgot earlier. I'm going to unplug the iron because that's one of those things that old people tend to forget about. We had there was a commercial in Australia years ago, and it was a favourite line in my family. If someone had a bit of an accident, they'd say, "Oh my goodness, the chips." If you're an Australian, you'll know the commercial I'm talking about. It's someone had some chips. Now in chips, it's potato that's cut into fingers like this size and deep fried. I think they'll probably call them all sorts of things around the world. We also call the flat potato stuff you get in a packet. A lot of people call them crisps. We call them chips as well. So you just have to be an Australian to understand what the hell we're talking about. Chips or chips. Same thing, but we know. Hot chips or chips. And then McDonald's came along and called them fries. What the hell's that? And now so many people in Australia have been converted. We never used to call them fries. Always chips. I remember when they first started, back in the 70s in Australia, we'd walk into a McDonald's and say, we're quite miffed that we couldn't get pineapple or beetroot on a Big Mac. Yeah, it's a funny world. Oh dear, did I just say that? Beautiful. Look at that. Look at that. You love that ad. You haven't unpacked your DF500, waiting till Friday. Stephen, I hope everything's going well for you, mate. Right, that's all of them. So now they're ready for doing a little bit of an example of creating a rebate and a dado as a second style of doing this construction of the cabinet. It is easier to hold them flat, but you have to make allowances in your calculations for the extra 4 millimeters overall that you'll need instead of between the faces of the panels that you're going to be joining to actually going into them 2 millimeters either end. And on the show, I'll show you the little guide that I made up with the GRS16PE with some plywood. I did a video on how to do it, so you can check back through that. And I'm actually going to put a 5/8 cutter in the little DeWalt trimmer and use that. And it just does such an easy job. I don't know why it took me so long to work out how to do that. There's lots of other ways, but it just went well that way for me. Now, what's the next thing? I've no idea. Chips equals potato chips. I don't know how many people are watching. Probably not many, because I don't really advertise it as being an in-depth show. It's more of a chat. But, you know, I wanted to get this stuff in the middle, well, done in the middle of the week. I finished cutting all this up last night. I thought I'd just do it here. So you see, it hasn't taken me long to do the edging. Mostly it's been gas bagging. Right. Now, oh, you might wonder what this is. This is a stop. So when I set to do the drawer sections on the cabinet, I'll use this. This is great. This is a nice solid stop. I can adjust it wherever I want. I can move it to any dog holes, and it's totally a reference point. So when I clamp it up, you can't move this. This is strong. The reason I like this is because every time you bring something back against it, it's not moving. It won't move. And how they do that is, I'll just quickly show you. On the underside of these guys is a hard plastic washer, which stops their speed knob, or whatever they call it, locking onto the aluminium. And the dogs have got a kind of a sandpaper finish on them, so they grip really, really well to the underside. And when it's all in there, you might notice that the base of the dog is slightly higher than the aluminium there. Hence, it's not kind of squished down onto the bench. It's going to squish down onto there when I put the clamp on. They're brilliant. So I will be using those, as I say, on Sunday. But everyone will probably be watching my video on, I'm going to switch back to Patreon Cam. Everyone will probably be watching my video on the fountain. I'm really building it up a lot, aren't I? It is fantastic. Okay, so Mongrel, as a kid, we got a new kitchen due to my dad having an oh my goodness, the chips moment after the ad, so we still say it to him now. Just curious, what is your favourite woodworking tool? John, I don't have a favourite woodworking tool. I've been asked this question a few times, and it all depends on what I'm doing. You know, like a screwdriver could be my favourite tool if that's what I'm doing at the time. A bit hard to do it with my teeth or my fingernails. And don't worry, I've tried with my fingernails doing a flat screw if I didn't have anything else. But it really depends on what you're doing. I would have favourite tools within a category. Okay, so for joining, if I had the choice between a biscuit jointer and a domino, I would take the domino. There you go. It's a favourite tool in that department. There you go. The favourite one is the one you bought yesterday, Stephen. And you've got plenty of those in boxes still, haven't you? All right, now I was going to talk about the legs as well for the bench. So this is the bench this is sitting on. And a little bit of an upgrade that John did for me. So these are the legs. Now they're being printed out of a stronger filament. Now John might be able to say, good on you, John. I'll give you a couple of bucks after the show. Now John might be able to tell you what type of filament it is he's printing the legs with now. Now this has a little bit of flex, but it's stronger. It resists breaking. This is really, really nice. Now John prints a thread down the inside, and the thread, instead of stopping here, is now traveling all the way down into the body of the leg. And that's what we're going to do right now. You like this one that Zoe made, do you? PETG filament. Right. Now, what we do is John had made a few and didn't have these. Now, these are a 40mm set screw or 8mm threaded rod with a hex drive socket in the end. Now, to put these in, the easiest way is, and even if you've already got some, and if you find that this undoes, if you clamp it up too tight, undoes out of the leg, it's a simple matter of some super glue. So I have a piece of cardboard and a tube of super glue, and I'm going to see if it's coming out still. Yes, it's coming out, just went on my thumb. and you can feel it grabbing hold, so careful with it. So I tipped the leg over a little bit. As I say, this is something John normally does for me, but because he couldn't get these screws for me quick enough, he sent them up for me, sent the legs up. I needed them in a hurry. And I'm going to put super glue down the inside, not a heap. Start the thread there, hold onto it tight, drive it down until we are about there, 1/2 inch to 5/8 of an inch. Now that's already set. So that's, as I say, that's giving me strength all the way into the top and all the way down past this point, which could be seen as a snap point, down into the body. You can't retrofit these longer screws into it, into older legs, because the legs, it doesn't go down that far. The thread doesn't go down that far. Unless, of course, you wanted to drill a hole down through the center and use an 8mm tap. You may be able to do it that way. But look, the older legs are working fine. I've got 2 other benches that I use, and I haven't changed them at all. It's just if you drop these things, they're not designed to be dropped. They're a nice craft style bench, and you can see they work really well here. You know, these things, always looking for improvement. Always looking for improvement. So I'm going to do a few of those and read at the same time what's happening. Put these on. You need to just send a link, or John, I put a link for Yellow Box Shed in the description box. So go all the way down to the bottom, go to his site, and the legs are there, and just ask for a price. I have no idea. John might be able to tell you during the chat here, give you an indication. Julie, you need a Canberra to Sydney special courier. Julie, and correct. I appreciate that. Thank you. No, you don't have time. I'm just responding to Greg there. The thing is, with the super glue, when you put it in here and you drive the screw in, the heat from the friction as you're turning it in, you don't get a second. Even though I stop it for 2 seconds, I can't turn it anymore. It's finished. So you don't get 2 bites at the cherry. So that in there, this in here. So if you buy the plans, there's a link also to John. That's it. It's locked. It's not going anywhere, buddy. So there's 6 in a set. You love the stream. Thanks, Stephen. Okay, so one of the things also on the bottom, you can tell which leg you've got. If you peel this off, you'll see it says Rev A 93mm. It's printed into the leg. I don't know if you can see it. There, you might see it there. Okay? So everything, John's a wizard. I keep telling everyone how good he is. So this, again, always looking for improvement. I don't know how much it would cost to send to the USA. No idea. Next one in. I'm going to do 6. Down we go. Don't go too far because you're going to end up bottoming out on the thread that's already printed in here. What a great idea. These things are fantastic. I love my bench. All right, so what else is happening? Good morning, Matthew. 1/4 of an hour to go. The rest of it's going to basically be chat. I'm putting in around about 3 drops of super glue. And I've only turned it in around about, that's fine. I've turned it in around maybe just over half a turn at the beginning. And if you get them like that, don't worry about it. That's just a little bit of furry stuff off the top of the print. A couple of touches with the hand and it's gone. So you'll see what I mean in a second. Make sure you put, like, I know you're not going to be doing that, but I'm just explaining. So it's half a turn, put that in, and away we go. and it's using the micrometer eyes to know when to stop. 5, this is the last one. I got a heap of them here. I like to have stock because you've no idea what's going to be happening in the future. Might get a rush on the benches. John might have a situation where he's been a bit crook and can't print some for me. So I like to have a bit of stock here. There's 6. All right, I'm going to put the cap back on. There to there to there to there. Regarding the parallel guides, if TSO don't have them in stock, just go back in another, a week or two and just check on availability. Because I tell you what, I reckon they're the best. There's a few companies make parallel guides, but I think these things, as I say, I only approach people to become an affiliate with them if I like their product and if I think it's the best one out there. So you can see why I'm excited about these. Julianne, Christy, John at Yellow Box Shed does an amazing job. He sure does. I usually do stuff up until it snaps. Back it off after turn. I think we've all been there, Jeremy, definitely. I felt like a bit of a turkey the other day. Jeremy was doing another barbecue cook-up, as he's prone to do. He told me he had 14 different barbecues. Not 14 different meals that he's had on a barbecue, 14 different individual barbecues. I wonder if he comes out in the evening with a beer in his hand and he goes, who's going to be the lucky guy tonight? Who's going to be the lucky barbecue? And do you ever stand there and go, eeny, meeny, miny, mo? Oh, I shouldn't say that, should I? Anyway, some form of selection. The things that we were taught when we were kids, and they just stick with you. I apologise if I may have upset anyone by saying that. I've just got to be so careful. Okay, so celebrating a birthday, and you made the comment, whose birthday is it, Jeremy? Thinking it might have been him or his wife or one of his kids. He said the Queen. Of course, it was the Queen's birthday this weekend. All right. Also, what is happening in your lives at the moment, apart from Jeremy stuffing up things and having barbecues, and also looking for a automatic switch for his 15 amp compressor. I have no idea where you can get one of those, Jeremy. If anyone knows, now also remember it's 15 amp 240 volt, not 15 amp 110 volt. So ribs for Lizzie's birthday was the best. Of course it was. And a couple of beers, I'm guessing, or a bourbon, or a port, which I'm quite partial to. Reading down. I think that's about, no one's making any comments, so you're all obviously very happy and content. Has anyone gone back to work? Has anyone stopped working from home and gone back to working in office? I'll tell you an interesting thing. The thermostat on my hot water service stopped working the other day. So, you can't do a 10 amp. Plus amphibian. I don't know what that is. Okay, so Stephen, that's an interesting thing. I don't know. There you go, Jeremy. Maybe do some messaging with Stephen and see what he can work out for you. Now I've totally forgotten what the hell I was going to talk about. Oh, that's right, working from home, the electrician and my hot water service. Then I'll wander off the subject. So the hot water service wasn't heating up, so the temperature was dropping. And an interesting thing with hot water services, if you've got a storage tank, if you do not get your temperature above 60 degrees Celsius in a week period, 1 week, you run the risk of Legionnaire's disease bacteria growing in the tank, and it's no good for you. So you need to make sure that you've got a booster to get it up above 60 degrees Celsius, and then it's safe. So wasn't heating, so got the Sparky down. He had a look at it, and he found out that he just did a quick couple of tests. And he said the hot water service is fine, the element's fine, it's the thermostat has stopped working. So it wasn't coming on to allow any heating, so it wasn't sending any power to the element. So, and now I've even forgotten because I'm reading stuff that John's just said. All right, So he was telling me that his wife used to work, still works for a company that's in Sydney. I think their office is in around Elizabeth Street or something like that. Very expensive rent for the office, I think was $1,000 a day, $30,000 a month. After this bug hit, they were all working from home and they haven't renewed the lease. Not going to, I don't think either. So I'm wondering about how many commercial landlords are out there with offices in Sydney or in major capital areas are really going to be struggling because people have realised because we've got the internet and because the NBN is working, for me, it's working brilliantly. The clarity of this video and the reliability of the NBN for me is absolutely fantastic. I don't know what other people's stories is, but because we can telecommute, I don't know how many of the offices are going to be sitting idle. Will they turn them into apartment blocks? I don't know. So there you go. I'm going to start reading down the side here again. I think John had made a comment. Let me slide back up to it because I can. I have the power. I finally have 2 new doctors to see about the pain and kidneys. Still need donor, but might help the gap. Excellent. That's so good, John. I'm glad that you got someone. Hopefully, you've got people that are going to steer you in the right direction and believe what you're saying. Stephen, in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, are running at about 90%, back to normal. Steeler football is on schedule, so we are good so far. Interesting thing, Stephen. In Australia, or in New South Wales at least, I think they're starting the football games again, but stadiums that can normally take 30 or 40,000 spectators are only allowed to have 2,000 in. So I think there's social distancing in the stadium, and there's another room. I think people can watch the football on a screen in the room, and they're allowed to have a certain amount of people in there as well. So it's a start back, but we're being very careful. And the football code, hats off to them for trying to find a remedy. I don't watch football personally, but hats off to them for trying to get something that'll work. Because we don't want to slip into a second wave of this thing. More reading. Julianne, Dad and I are building a new pressure pot for resin casting for pens, as well as doing some more gilding. Having a great time still at home. That's great. How good is it to be able to spend time with your family? Pablo, Dave, has bench Stanton shipped to South America? I want to buy one, but delivery times are very high. No, you can't get one shipped. You can buy the plans, and also you can get the legs from John at Yellow Box Shed. So sorry about that, Pablo. Can't do it for you. Okay, Julie Ann and and I fly to Perth shortly for a gilding job. Wow, that is so good. Congratulations. Jeremy asked what I thought was a simple question to avoid my laziness, but turned out to be complicated. I do appreciate all the input, though. Mate, why not? Why not? Why would I have a Bluetooth unit on the dust extractor from Festool and the saw? I'm thinking about getting a second battery that's got Bluetooth on it, because then I've got 2 Bluetooth batteries. One will be in the charger, the other one will be in the saw. Just call me lazy or call it convenient. I'm looking down here at the bottom here, drop frames, 0. How good is this? Jason, been working all along. I work in hospitals, so working from home wasn't an option. I really feel for people in the medical industry that, they are going to be exposed so much more to risk than just the average guy in the street. I know that they mask up and all that kind of stuff, but it's still a worry, isn't it? Stephen, a side effect of COVID is fewer road deaths, therefore fewer donors, John. We're never happy, are we? Never happy. Diego, I don't understand. I can't read or don't understand your language, so I can't make any comment. I told you love when you got the NBN Silver. I do love it. I love it. I love it. John, I'm not on that donor list, even need a living donor currently. Tell them Boris sent you. Dave, do you have any advice on buying a bandsaw? what should I look for a home workshop? It is for weekend use, not professional. You want to find something that's going to have a solid top guide support. You don't want that guide support to move around. You want it to have a rear thrust race to hold the blade. So say this is your blade traveling this direction, like timber there, cutting into that. You want the thrust race at the back, stopping the blade pushing away from you, because if the blade pushes away, it will start to twist, and that's no good for a cut. You need it to be well supported. Something that's a convenient height. If you're just doing it for hobby work, you need to work out how thick the stuff you're doing is. The more you want the throat to open up, the space between the top and the bottom guides and the table to open up, the stronger the machine has got to be. Basically, that's in a nutshell. I've got mine on a mobile base because it's very easy to wheel it out and push it away. If you go with a brand that's a reputable brand, a lot of the time it's going to be a smart thing to do. I've got the Carbotech, the high capacity one. I had the Powermatic before that, the 14-inch Powermatic. And whilst that was okay, I prefer this one. They're both 14-inch saws, but I prefer this one. It just seems to be stronger and gives me a more reliable cut. The only thing that two things that this one doesn't have is the light and the blower over the top. Had little bellows on it that when you started the saw up, it used to blow air. But you can set something up like that if you want to, if you need it. Mark Palmer, I hope you get your donor soon, John. Palmer John, praying for you. Yes, my local wood club, 10-inch in the club room. Thanks you, Matthew. Praying for you, John. John Lafferty, set up the new tiny house on the property continues. Pre-builds, but still a lot of preparation being done by the people living in it. Good. Sorry, I follow your channel in Brazil. Thank you, Diego. Brazil's a bit of a hot spot for this bug as well, I believe. I don't know. Again, I can't really make comment. This is not what this show's about. You know, socially aware, yes, but I try not to get into a political or into heavy discussions about things that I don't really have any control over. I have no control over it. So this is all about, today was about putting some iron-on tape on, and that was fun. I'm going to probably do a little bit more mucking around in here after I turn the show off. Thanks, Dave. I made notes. Okay, cool. Or you could come back and watch the show again after it if you wanted to. All right, now I'm going to get going, guys. So remember, if you haven't got anything else to say, because we're just coming up to the hour, don't forget to watch the video that I do on Friday morning, that I release them on the fountain. It is absolutely fantastic. I love it. Even if I say so myself, when I played it for Vicky to watch it, and she says, you know what, I could watch that again. And she's not the person to say that ordinarily. So it was a lot of fun. Okay. Did I get the phone coverage sorted out? Yes, I did. What I did was I bought a Samsung A20. This thing was a fraction of the price of an S20. So this is an A20. So it was around about an eighth of the price. It has Wi-Fi calling. With Telstra, Telstra's got a much better coverage on this block. And now that I have a phone that's got Telstra connection, it's working on a lot of areas. It won't work on Telstra inside the building, hence the Wi-Fi calling. So at the moment, this thing is hooked up to my wireless port to the internet. So I can receive calls, texts, I can make calls and text directly from here. I don't miss calls anymore. The coverage on the property is sufficient for my mother-in-law's MediAlert. So these things have saved me having to buy a Go repeater station, which is something like this little mobile tower. They put it in, it's only a tiny little thing, and it has a Yagi aerial that's directional. The technician would come here, aim it at the local tower, the best tower, and away you go. But anyway, yes, my phone problem's sorted out. I was so impressed with it. I got one for Vicky as well, and she loves it so that we can sit in the house up at the top and make calls, receive calls, and we don't have the landline activated anymore either. And that in itself is fantastic. The landline's there, the number's there, but we don't have a phone on it. So now if someone wants to contact us, they do it through our mobiles. All right, Stephen, great show. Thanks, Dave. My pleasure. Stephen, question, Dave. Do you know any barrel coopers, and have you ever had an interest in that type of work? I found a museum online in Sydney, fascinated with that type of artisan work. No, I do not. But maybe you could send a suggestion to Timber Tools and Artisans online, or through Instagram or Facebook. Just type in Timber Tools and Artisans and make that suggestion if they can find a cooper to appear at the shows. That'd be great. Okay, thanks, Dave. Everyone stay safe. Thanks, Harry. Thanks for the company, Dave. My pleasure, Stephen. Pablo, not being able to buy the Stanton bench and just watching it on YouTube, it broke my heart. I don't think I can do it. I don't have that much experience. It's not hard. It really isn't. Get the plans, make it. Shipping from Australia to South America is going to be unbelievably expensive, probably more than the cost of the bench to buy it. So it's just out of the question. Greg, yes, total winner. Thank you very much. Matthew, see you on Sunday. Thank you. Paul Mumford, thanks, Dave. All right, then. Look after yourselves. Be nice to each other. And I'm going to do this thing as well when I can find a spot on here that's going to do it. Look after yourselves. Be nice to each other. And I shall see you Sunday. Don't forget to watch the fountain video and let the ads run.